You know, I found myself in the middle of the pandemic staring at a specific date on the calendar. That date was June 24th, 2020. Written on that date was Top Gun Maverick, with a gigantic red X slashed straight across it. A single tear fell from my eye. Will we ever get to see this movie? Will we ever get to leave our houses? Will I remember how to put on pants again? Prior to that, I found myself watching Commando. As Arnold raked through hundreds of armed militia with an M60 behind rose bushes, I remember praying to God that we get one decently made action film again. An action film that is not made by Michael Bay or part of the Fast and Furious franchise or has the word superhero anywhere near it. Nothing too complicated, a basic story, likable characters, a lot of thrills that doesn't look like it was animated by a CGI studio on a Sunday night. One where the ordinary man does extraordinary shit.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
This is what I'm talking about. Top Gun Maverick, a film rarity where both critics and audiences actually agree. You see, after
2 years of 14 days to serve a spread,
many thought this was the death of the movie theater as we knew it, and studios began to release high-budget films on streaming services, thinking this is the future of big-budget releases. But along came a man-spider who said, it's okay to pack yourself into a dark room with hundreds of strangers to watch him shoot white strings out of his body and making all the bad men super sticky in the process.
Come on, let me go! Stop it! Help!
And Sony's gamble with Spider-Man No Way Home paid off, pushing the web-slinging little shit to the third highest grossing film of all time and giving us hope in the process. But not all was proven. Some naysayers called it a fluke, a burp, the death rattle of the American theater industry. But, oh, what's that circling over our heads, looking to prove us all wrong? It kind of looks like Maverick, and it's here to drop truth bombs on all of us. The movie theater industry is back, and if production companies are smart, they will follow Paramount and Tom Cruise's footsteps by not sacrificing plot and great character development for everyday politics and ideologies. Of course, Tom Cruise has been doing this shit for over 40 years now, and if there's one thing he knows, it's how to keep asses in seats. Maverick starts almost 40 years since we last saw Pete Mitchell kiss Kelly McGillis in the middle of a dive bar, and the last shot was twin F-14 Tomcats flying off into the sunset like a pair of cowboys. And that destination, for all intents and purposes, is Maverick's own Sunset. Now a test pilot for Skunkworks and piloting an SR-72, which is legit, we find Mav is still addicted to speed, pushing the test plane past its limits until it explodes. And you want to know why? Because he's got giant fucking balls. That's why. This stunt parachutes him into the disdain of Admiral Ed Harris. Beltface here informs Maverick that he is as old as shit. That's the pot calling the kettle black. And the time for unmanned aerial vehicles has come to replace pilots. But until then, he has one more assignment. It's back to Top Gun. This time at the behest of his old wingman and now Admiral Iceman Kazansky. This is Mav's last stop before he's ultimately forced out of the things he loves doing most, giving high fives and buzzing towers. Ow! At Top Gun, he is briefed by another admiral, played by John Hamm, who apparently hates him for no other reason than it gives good friction to the plot. This admiral informs Maverick that the Navy doesn't want him to fly the Star Wars trench run, super secret mission. They just want him to teach it. And who is this mission against? Them, I guess. Who cares? Reluctantly, Mav agrees to teach these young pilots how to execute the hyper-dangerous mission. They're going to have to fly in as low as possible through a valley in order to avoid detection from the surface-to-air missiles that sit along the ridgeline. And if they go too slow, they will be intercepted by patrolling enemy aircraft before the mission can be executed.
But wait! There's more!
They will have to dive over a mountain peak, shooting their missiles down a shaft the size of your standard Amazon package. This will destroy the entire underground nuclear facility, all while having to ignore the fact that this means certain death for them all. Seriously, How is this not Star Wars Trench Run again?
Stay on target.
Who cares? Both scenes in their own way are awesome.
Stay on target.
And of course, one of the pilots happens to be Goose's kid, Rooster. And this is where you might think the shit hits the plot. This is where the writers could have easily thrown in the towel. So imagine my pleasant surprise that the writers and director Joseph Kosinski took this relationship seriously. You see, turns out Mav has been self-sabotaging his own career in the Navy just to keep himself in the skies. But that's not the only career he's been sabotaging. He's also been hamstringing Rooster in order to keep him grounded. This is the last request of Goose's wife, who is now as dead as Meg Ryan's career. The easy route would have been to have Rooster blame Mav for Goose's death, and the audience would have seen that angle coming from a mile away. Instead, opting to have Maverick the quiet martyr in this situation gives him some much needed maturity. It is a simple yet effective character trait that adds to his overall charm. Shit, maybe with that addition to his character, Maverick might go down as one of the greatest heroes of all time. In the meantime, Maverick also rekindles an old flame. No, not her. Her. Whew. Wow. Jennifer Connelly plays the character of one admiral's daughter, Penny Benjamin, a character brought up in the first Top Gun in a blink and you'll miss it moment.
With a history of high-speed passes over 5 air-controlled towers and one admiral's daughter. Penny Benjamin.
But this romance is nowhere close to Maverick's pursuits of Charlie in the first Top Gun, and this relationship is used as a device to show, once again, that Maverick has to come to terms his piloting days are almost over. It is about time to land his plane and settle down on the aircraft carrier called the USS Life. But not yet. Duty calls, you rebellious sons of bitches. We're introduced to his class for the first time in Penny's bar, and there is more ego and self-confidence oozing off each one of these characters than Kanye West on a bad day.
I just told you who I thought I was, a god.
Yes, you are, Kanye, and for damn good reason. These are the best pilots in the Navy. Their egos will not allow them to back down from a mission like this. Just the mere fact that they might not make it out alive is like giving Viagra to a teenage me. I sure as hell didn't need the extra help, but I would have used it to my advantage while I could. I also would like to take a time out and comment on the fact that the writers didn't use Phoenix, played wonderfully by Monica Barbaro, to bonk us over the head with some feminist bullshit about how she's a woman in a typically male-dominated world. She's one of the best, and she lets her flying do the talking. And that's the way it should be, and holy shit, that is refreshing to see. She makes mistakes and learns to grow from them, instead of being told how great she is every 5 fucking minutes from the first moment we see her.
Girl, your ass looks crazy right now.
And speaking of She-Hulk, it should also be noted that none of the flavor of the week woke messaging infects this film at all. Penny Benjamin's daughter doesn't pretend to be a wise sage, berating Maverick while also handing down life lessons like they were fucking lollipops. Or no moment where at the last second Maverick loses his job to Phoenix because of his old ways, and she shows him how the mission should really be done, with girl power. This is straight up the movie you paid a ticket to go see. Nothing more, nothing less. This is something that shouldn't have to be stated, but the rotting culture we find ourselves in today demands the emphasized point. Bust your notepads out, production companies. This is how movies should be done. But I digress. Onward. Miles Teller plays Rooster, and I'll be damned he played this one well. Far too often, when the student has some kind of beef with his master, that young character turns into an all-out bitch.
Why didn't you outrun him? I thought you said this thing was fast.
You kidding at the rate they're gaining? What's that flashing? What's going on? What? How? Why are we still moving towards it?
Stay on target.
But Teller turns in a performance more measured and nuanced. We can tell Rooster loves Maverick like a father, but they had a falling out due to circumstances unknown to the audience at first. As the film progresses, we start to understand his frustrations a little bit more, and it's through this very relationship that Maverick begins to question his abilities to teach these guys how to work as a team. And spoiler alert, he gets help from none other than Val Iceman Kilmer. I won't go too long about this scene because I think it should be experienced unspoiled. What I can say is you witness two friends enjoying each other's company, and it doesn't seem like much acting was going on that day. And it's through Iceman that Maverick finds a new confidence in his abilities to teach, and teach he does. And I guess that's what the movie's simple message is. Finding your role in the bigger picture, never complain about where you stand, but move forward to where you want to be. And in doing so, you might get your reward. All while kicking some major ass. In Top Gun Maverick, you see a more mature but still balls to the wall Pete Mitchell, willing to push the envelope despite all warnings that he shouldn't. And this is why the character is regarded as iconic. Human growth can only be achieved when we push our limits, establishing larger boundaries, and building on what the previous man has done before, while also setting up success for the next man behind us. Not coincidentally, this is also what the American myth is all about. And this is exactly what Top Gun Maverick did for Top Gun, paying the perfect amount of fan service to its 40-year-old classic predecessor, while pushing the boundaries of what popcorn movies should be. Even though Top Gun Maverick's release was delayed for 2 years, it came out at the perfect time, offering us hope that a pioneering spirit is still woven into America's DNA, that deep down we're all still Mavericks, and when someone tells us it can't be done, it's time to suit up and show the world just how massive our balls really are. It's the traditional American action film in a time where traditionalism is looked down upon. Top Gun Maverick captured our hunger to escape, to take 2 hours, sit down in a cool theater, and forget about what's going on outside the darkened room. That sharing an experience with total and complete strangers is the way movies like these should be presented. Something audiences still hunger for. Spidey showed the studios it can be done. Maverick proved it. Now let's fly off into the sunset the way God intended. With Jennifer Connelly.